Hey, how's it going? Just wanted to make a quick video here of some updates on some of my boat projects and what I got going on. Excuse my messy closet slash storage room slash boat workshop. Um, Live in an apartment, so don't really have very much room to work on everything. Automatic light there. So yeah, first off, I want to talk about my old PX16. I had made a video before of it running on 4S with a 2000 kV motor, and it had the 90 amp Turnigy ESC, and I was running that on 4S, two cell, 5200 milliamps, and it ran pretty good for the most part. And this is now on a single drive, so I kind of wanted to update some of my information I had on this. As you can see, now it's single drive, rudder is offset. I plugged up those holes there with some epoxy because it was a twin drive at one point. If you see some of my older videos, you can see this boat moving on two motors. I've done a lot more work to the bottom of this. I wouldn't necessarily say it's blueprinted, but I filled in the holes obviously with epoxy, and I've sanded them down, and it's 10 times better than what it was. But yeah, so there's that pretty much. As for the inside, it's not much different, except for adding a lot more epoxy and sanding, and a lot more epoxy and sanding. I added some foam in the front. As you see, it still has that 2000 kV dynamite motor. I was running a .150 shaft and a 43 millimeter prop, and I'm pretty sure it was good for maybe 40 miles an hour on 4S. I was able to get 40 miles an hour last time on those 2730 kV motors, just because it's higher kV, and that was only on 3S. But that's two motors, and two props, two everything else, two ESCs. It just gets more expensive. So I wanted a little bit more of a simple setup. But I do have some more plans coming for this. Since the motor is kind of worn out, it still runs fine. It gets a little hot. The only other issue is the bearings on it are kind of toast. I don't know if you could hear that in the video, but there is a fair amount of play there. So I'm thinking about changing the motor up, and doing something different with this guy. Yeah, I tried running this thing on 6S, and unfortunately, I guess my Loctite glue didn't hold up, and my prop shaft came off, and I ended up losing my prop and the prop shaft. It's unfortunate, but it's whatever. I'm going to get another one here soon and replace it. And then I'm actually thinking about using one of my other boat motors, another boat I haven't even featured, which is my Sonic Wake. All stock Sonic Wake, pretty much. The only thing different is the prop, and I added dual water cooling. I've actually figured out a way to make my own water cooling. You can do this with any type of brass tubing or aluminum tubing, doesn't matter. Basically, I just use a coupler that's used for the flex shaft, and I drilled this hole out so it would fit, and I used an old water pickup from a Joyceway, which is pretty good at flowing, so I added that to it, and basically you just use the set screws to adjust up or down height. Right now it's pretty much perfect where it is, and then yeah, I just did that instead of trying to buy dual water cooling for like $30 just for the rudder blade. I had some couplers laying around, some other parts, so I did it for free. So yeah, just running this thing on 2.3S 5200 milliamp. Yeah, they're hard case, so they're a little heavy, but not a big deal. Everything's stock. But with the extra water cooling, it definitely helps. So far, I've only been able to get like 53 out of this boat, and that's with this prop that I have on here. I tried a 50 millimeter prop, and it's a little too big. It gets a little warm, but it does fly. I was having issues with the riding. It was riding way too wet, and everything was getting super hot from factory with the stock prop. So I switched all that stuff around, and now it's running a lot more dry in the water, and it's flying pretty good, and right now I feel like it's at a good spot. I don't really need more power. It's good. But I actually had an idea of taking this 1900 kV motor out and placing it in my purple MQD PX16 because it's, I mean, virtually it's a 3674 and the one that I have in there is a 3650. This motor is great and it has tons of power. However, I feel like this Sonic Wake is a little on the heavy side, and when it's fully loaded and it's in the water, I can see why it causes a lot of drag and heat. So I'm thinking about getting a lower kV, a little bit more torque, so I can run a bigger prop, and hopefully that'll keep things cool, and I can run this 1900 kV and possibly the 120 in this boat and run it on 4 or 6S, whatever I choose. And that boat should be good for a good 50 mile an hour, no problem. But it'll be reliable. That's my main thing. Also in the works over here in my little crappy workshop is something that's kind of like off the wall. And I know it's not very conventional to use cardboard as a material for a hull, but as you can see, I've made a boat out of cardboard and epoxy. Nowhere near done. I need to do a lot of layers of epoxy. Yes, that's blue masking tape that's pretty much holding the seams together and everything. And then I'm just epoxying over it. I need like 3 or 4 more layers of epoxy. It's just a really deep V hull. Probably not the best for super high speed. As you can see here, I kind of made a single step on the bottom. So it's a little bit better of a ride pad, and it's not riding just directly on the V, because I know it's going to cause a lot of rolling issues. Yep, it's a Walmart.com box. I also made a little hatch and everything for it. It was just something to do. I was bored and I was sick and staying home from work, and when you have a bunch of time on your hands and a bunch of cardboard boxes and epoxy, you tend to get stupid. So yeah, that's what it looks like inside. I've epoxied all that. It's been reinforced and everything. So it's not going to be like a high power setup at all. Obviously, it's not able to really take the power. So it's just going to be something fun to work on, and if I get 25 miles an hour out of a cardboard hull, I'll be impressed. So I'm not quite sure what to do with this one yet. I thought about doing a dual motor setup, but I'm thinking I'm going to leave it in single and see what happens. Also, let's see, I got another little fun cardboard boat that I've made that actually runs already. This is like another little deep V style hull. Excuse my terrible flame job. I was bored, like I said, so I made a couple different designs. It's almost kind of like a little aluminum jet boat design. I didn't really have any plans or anything. I just kind of threw some stuff together. But as you can see, it's got a little single 31 millimeter old rudder from the Atomic that I have, and then on the inside, it's just a little brushed 380 size motor and a 60 amp ESC, and I have my little servo back there, and this thing's been epoxied and reinforced as well. As you can see, the cardboard split apart there, so I need to re-epoxy that. This one's not done either. This is just kind of like, I just threw it together. It's a solid shaft, nothing special at all. I had all this in here and working, but unfortunately my mount that I had my servo on didn't hold up, so, you know, back to the drawing board on that. But yeah, it's a little straight shaft. Got a little coupler from my old, I believe it was my Mini LST Team Losi. So yeah, it's good to keep all your RC parts, because you never know when you might find a use for them. But yeah, kind of a cool looking little hull. Nothing special, but I was really surprised that it moved decently in the water, and I mean, it was only doing maybe 10 miles an hour at most, but it's a fun little cruiser. So there's that. As well as that, I also have a little Racer 17 here that's pretty much stock. It just has some turn fins and trim tabs. Fun little boat, painted orange. This thing's actually for sale. I have it for sale right now for $160. I just kind of want something a little different. I like it. It's a fun little boat just to go bash around and do little tricks and flips with. But it's kind of time to move on to something different. As for my Atomic, I've done quite a bit to this thing. I'll show you what's going on with her. This is now running the 90 amp ESC I had in the purple boat. I've upgraded the rudder, and it is also running my 43 millimeter 1.4 pitch prop. It's sharpened, not the best balance, but I tried. Also, so let's see, the inside, so it's got an upgraded servo and then the 90 amp ESC. I'm running this thing on 4S, and honestly it flies pretty good. As for the bottom of the boat, this thing was really uneven on the ride pads, and when I say really uneven, I mean really uneven. One side was almost like 5 or 6 millimeters higher than the other. So what I ended up doing was filling in all the low spots and sanding and sanding and sanding and sanding, and now they are almost identical and completely flush. You can still see some of the paint, the yellow here on this one especially, where that really bad low spot was, but it's been filled in with epoxy, and I've sanded over that. So that made a world of difference. Also, I have kind of sanded around where the strut is, just to kind of make it more of a less abrupt flat surface, kind of trying to blueprint some of this stuff just so I get a little bit more speed out of her, and it rides way better. It's not lifting up on one side, and I've been running two 2S's, the same 5200 milliamp. So they're a little bit bigger batteries. They're kind of heavy. I could probably get some lighter batteries and get a little more speed out of it, but I'm pretty happy with her right now. She's probably running a good 40-45 miles an hour, and it's stable as hell, and I can take turns at full throttle, and it's just perfect. It's awesome. So for a cheap little boat, these Atomic hulls, actually, the hulls themselves aren't bad. The design isn't bad. It's just kind of the quality control and how they come out of the molds. They're never even, and it's pretty unfortunate. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, on my boat projects, like I say, I'm gonna be putting a lot more power, and if anybody is interested in seeing how to create these, I mean, I don't mind showing you guys. So we'll go from there. All right, have a good one. Bye.